Hey everyone, welcome back to Zen Zone Health. I'm so glad you're here. You know, we talk a lot about health and wellness on this channel, and today we're diving into a topic that's super relevant, especially in today's fast-paced world: secondhand stress. We've all been there, feeling stressed without a clear reason. It can be super frustrating, right? But what if I told you that you might actually be absorbing stress from others around you? Stick around because in this video, we're going to break down the signs, the causes, and what you can do about it. And hey, if you find this helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss out on future health tips. Welcome to Zen Zone Health. Today we're diving into the topic of secondhand stress. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more health tips. Ever feel like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, but you can't quite put your finger on why? You're not alone. One of the biggest signs of secondhand stress is feeling stressed without any obvious reason. Think about it. You've checked your to-do list, things are going okay in your personal life, but there's this underlying tension, this feeling of unease. Sound familiar? It's like you're picking up on an invisible wave of stress from your surroundings. And you know what? It's not just in your head. Studies have shown that stress can actually be contagious, spreading from person to person like a cold. So, if you've done a thorough check of your own life and you're coming up empty-handed in the stressor department, there's a good chance you might be experiencing secondhand stress. It's important to remember that we are social creatures, and just like we pick up on each other's moods and emotions, we can also absorb each other's stress. The good news is, once you're aware of it, you can start taking steps to protect yourself. We'll get to those a little later in the video. Let's talk about the workplace. We all know that work can be stressful, but have you ever noticed that being around anxious colleagues can actually make you anxious too? It's like their stress becomes contagious, and before you know it, you're feeling the pressure too. This is a classic example of secondhand stress in action. You see, our brains are wired to mirror the emotions of those around us. It's a survival mechanism that helped our ancestors stay safe from danger. So when we see someone who's stressed, our brains interpret that as a potential threat, and our bodies start pumping out stress hormones like cortisol. And here's the kicker. You don't even have to be best friends with your coworkers for this to happen. Simply observing someone who is stressed out can be enough to trigger your own stress response.
Think about that colleague who's always running late, panicking over deadlines, or constantly complaining about their workload. Their energy can be infectious. And even if you're usually calm and collected, you might find yourself feeling more on edge than usual.
Okay, let's talk about another telltale sign of secondhand stress. That feeling of constantly being in a rush, even when you logically know you have time. Do you find yourself speeding through tasks, feeling like you're always racing against the clock? Does every item on your to-do list feel urgent, even if the deadline is weeks away? This constant sense of urgency can be exhausting and is a major red flag for secondhand stress. When we're constantly exposed to other people's hurried energy, it's like our internal pace setter gets stuck on fast forward. We start to internalize that frenetic energy, and it becomes our default mode of operating. This can be really detrimental to our health and well-being, because when we're constantly in a state of rush, our bodies never get the chance to relax and recharge. Over time, this chronic stress can lead to a whole host of health problems, from digestive issues to insomnia to even heart disease. So, if you find yourself constantly feeling rushed, it's time to take a step back and reassess. Chapter 4. Becoming a pessimist. Have you noticed a shift in your outlook lately? Are you finding it harder to see the positive side of things? Has pessimism crept into your thoughts and conversations? Now, while there are many factors that can influence our mood and outlook, a sudden or gradual descent into negativity can be a sign of secondhand stress. When we're surrounded by negativity, it's like a dark cloud starts to follow us around, casting a shadow over everything we do. We start to see the world through a more cynical lens, and our thoughts become dominated by worry, fear, and doubt. This is because our brains are wired to pay more attention to negative information. It's an evolutionary adaptation that helped our ancestors avoid danger. But in today's world, this negativity bias can backfire, especially when we're bombarded with other people's stress and negativity. If you're used to being a positive, upbeat person, and you're noticing a change in your outlook, it's important to take notice. It could be a sign that you're absorbing the stress and negativity of those around you. Chapter 5. feeling worn out. Let's talk about exhaustion. We all feel tired from time to time, especially after a long day or a tough workout. But have you been feeling drained, worn out, completely exhausted, even without any significant physical exertion? If this sounds familiar, secondhand stress might be the culprit. You see, stress is incredibly taxing on the body and mind. When we're exposed to other people's stress, our brains have to work overtime to process it and try to make sense of it. This constant mental chatter can be incredibly draining, leaving us feeling mentally and physically exhausted, even if we haven't actually done anything physically demanding. It's like our brains are running a marathon, even though our bodies are sitting still. This mental exhaustion can manifest as physical fatigue, making us feel tired, sluggish, and completely drained of energy. So, if you're constantly feeling wiped out, even after a good night's sleep, it's time to pay attention to your surroundings. Are you surrounded by people who are stressed out? Are you constantly bombarded with negative news and information? If so, it's time to take steps to protect your energy. Chapter 6. Annoying emails from coworkers. Let's be real. We all have those coworkers whose emails make us cringe a little. You know, the ones that are short, abrupt, or just plain confusing. And while it's easy to brush it off as, oh, that's just how they communicate, these types of emails can actually be a sneaky source of secondhand stress. When we receive an email that seems curt or negative, our brains automatically go into defense mode. We start overthinking, trying to decipher the tone and intent behind the message. Was that a passive-aggressive dig? Are they upset with me? Did I do something wrong? This overanalyzing can send our stress levels soaring, even if the email was completely harmless in the sender's mind. Remember, tone is incredibly difficult to convey in written communication. What might seem rude or dismissive to you could simply be someone's efficient, to-the-point writing style. So the next time you receive an email that rubs you the wrong way, take a deep breath before you hit the reply button. Remind yourself that you can't read minds and give the sender the benefit of the doubt. Chapter 7. Email notifications. Speaking of emails, how often do you check your inbox? Are you one of those people who has notifications turned on for every single message that comes through? While it might seem like you're staying on top of things, those constant pings and vibrations can be a major source of stress and distraction. Every time your phone buzzes with a new email, it breaks your focus, pulls you out of the moment, and triggers a mini stress response. Over time, these micro moments of stress can add up, leading to feelings of overwhelm, anxiety, and even burnout. Plus, let's be honest, how many of those emails actually require your immediate attention? Probably not that many. So, do yourself a favor and turn off those email notifications. Set specific times to check your inbox throughout the day and allow yourself to focus on your work without distractions. When we're stressed, our brains go into survival mode, focusing on immediate threats and worries. This leaves very little mental bandwidth for creativity and innovation. Chapter 8. Reduced creativity. Feeling stuck in a creative rut? Finding it harder to come up with fresh ideas? Believe it or not, secondhand stress could be to blame.
If you're constantly exposed to other people's stress, whether it's from your boss, co-workers, or even the general work environment, it can create a mental block that stifles your creativity.
This is because stress hormones like cortisol actually interfere with the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for creativity, problem solving, and abstract thinking. Instead of feeling inspired and energized, you might find yourself feeling drained, unmotivated, and unable to tap into your creative flow.
So, if you're feeling creatively stifled, it's important to identify and address the sources of stress in your environment. Chapter 9. Difficulty concentrating. Ever feel like your brain is in a fog? You're trying to focus on a task, but you just can't seem to concentrate? You read the same sentence 3 times and it just doesn't sink in? Yep, you guessed it. Secondhand stress could be the culprit here too. When we're stressed, our bodies release a surge of hormones, including cortisol and adrenaline. While these hormones are helpful in short bursts, when we're chronically stressed, they can wreak havoc on our brains, making it difficult to focus, concentrate, and remember information. This is because stress hormones interfere with the hippocampus, the part of our brain responsible for forming new memories and retrieving old ones. So, if you're constantly surrounded by stressed out people, it's like your brain is constantly being bombarded with these stress hormones, making it nearly impossible to focus and get things done. So, there you have it, the signs and causes of secondhand stress. Recognizing this often overlooked type of stress is the first step toward protecting your well-being. Remember, you deserve to feel calm, centered, and in control of your own energy. Creating a positive and supportive work environment, setting boundaries with technology, and practicing stress-reducing activities like mindfulness and exercise can make a world of difference. And hey, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced secondhand stress? What strategies have you found helpful in coping with it? Share your experiences and tips in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more health and wellness tips from ZenZone Health.